Hi, everyone. This is Sybil Starr with my monthly new moon astrology report. Today, I'm going to be talking about the new moon at Scorpio. It's the day after the election, and there's a lot of feelings generated in this time of Scorpio in around the election. And Scorpio is a sign that has to do with feelings, deep feelings. But first, I want to just talk about the degree that this new moon in Scorpio is. Today, on November 7th, the new moon in Scorpio is at 15 degrees of Scorpio. And the 15 degrees of all of the fixed signs is a very potent, energetic, magical point. It's an energy vortex. In ancient times, in the Celtic wheel of the year, the 15 degrees of the fixed signs of Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, and Leo were the actual astronomical points of the cross-quarter days. And so they were very powerful, energetic points. And the 15 degrees of Scorpio is actually the time when the veil is thin between ourselves and the other side. It is a time when the ancestors can come through, and those that are getting ready to cross over, the door is also wide open. I work in hospice at least one day a week as a nurse, and this time of the year we see people crossing over a lot. But just know that it's a very magical time. We can call on our ancestors for help, for guidance, and to know that their presence is very near. And with that, in a time of deep feelings, such as Scorpio, we can, when we have loved ones that have crossed over, this time can re-trigger our grief. So just know that it is a time of deep feeling. That is the evolutionary goal of Scorpio, is to feel everything and to feel everything deeply. But it is also about moving through those feelings, not getting stuck, understanding that our feelings change. And just because we feel like this at this moment does not mean we'll feel like this forever. And to try to remember that. But it is about, it feels to me like this time is about kind of like a roto-rooter job in our heart. It is about going in and deep cleaning and purifying and releasing a lot of old things we've been carrying around. It is the time of the year that in the Celtic wheel of the year, it was the end and the beginning. And so it is a time to release things. Just like the snake sheds its skin, it is a time to let things go that no longer serve us. And as we do, it opens our hearts. And it takes us through some feelings such as grief that often people are afraid to feel. And yet, as we feel them, we're able to release it. When we don't, grief is like a gate. It's like a doorway, and we have to go through it when we're there, or we just stay there in suspended in this state of feeling really bad. So it is important to open our hearts, even if we feel resistance, even if it hurts. As they say, a broken heart is an open heart. And that's what the goal is to open our hearts. This new moon is also in a trine, which is an easy flow of energy to the planet Neptune. And Neptune is about remembering that on an energetic level, we are all connected, that we are interconnected with everyone. And it allows us to develop compassion for others as well as ourselves, when we can open our hearts and allow ourselves to feel the pain that we've been holding back and not wanting to feel, as well as the feelings of others and how others feel. It helps us realign with that connection with all beings and develops compassion. One more thing I want to say about Scorpio that's really important. Scorpio is very much about emotional honesty and deep truth. Scorpio, as they say, has a high bullshit detector. And so it's really important to not bullshit ourselves And the first, um, as they say, um, the first step to healing is to acknowledge that there's a problem. And so wherever it is in our lives where we are unhappy, discontent, or not feeling good, once we can acknowledge that, as my teacher said, places where we're pretending to be happy, which is kind of crazy, and yet we do that. We go through the motions of not feeling. And so when we're able to acknowledge those places, then we can look at how to remedy the situation and to move on and release things that no longer serve us. Now, the second piece of this new moon is it's a cross. It's what's called a grand cross. And it has to do with Venus and Ceres, both archetypes of the divine feminine. Um, Venus really representing the divine feminine. Ceres is about Mother Earth. She is one of the great earth goddesses of the Greco-Roman tradition, in an opposition to Uranus in Aries, and square the nodes. And so I'll break that down for you. So as I said, Venus and Ceres are in Libra, and Venus actually is the ruler of Libra. And it is in an opposition to Uranus in Aries. And Uranus is the god of revolution, the god of change, chaos, and awakening. And so it is like an awakening of the divine feminine. And Libra has a lot to do with balance. In Egyptian mythology, the concept and deity of Ma'at was Libra. And Libra has to do with natural law, the right order of things, and justice. And it was believed in Egyptian mythology that it is Ma'at, it is that right order of things that keeps the world from falling into chaos. And so we are being asked to bring things back into right order to be able to deal with the gods of chaos, the god of chaos. But remember that in chaos is when things are breaking down, that breakthrough is possible and new movements are born. And so having this aspect on the day after, actually this aspect was in effect yesterday in the elections here in the US, and is part of the new moon energy. And so part of bringing the world back into right order and into balance is the balance between the masculine and the feminine. And as we saw yesterday in the elections here in the United States, many women won their candidacies for the House races. And there's now 100 women in Congress. And we have been seeing this cosmic call for women to step up and for women to take places of power. And it has to do with bringing the world back into balance. They're calling it the Year of the Women. The Dalai Lama says that it is Western women that will save the world. And even before him, there was a spiritual teacher called Swami Vivekananda. It was about 100 years ago, who said basically the same thing, that it will be Western women that bring the world back into balance by reclaiming the divine feminine. And here we have the divine feminine so strongly stepping in to show us how to bring the world back into balance and out of chaos. Okay, but it is in this chaos that new movements are born. And so the other piece is that one of the rulers of this Scorpio new moon, which is Mars is in Aquarius in a trine to these to Venus and Ceres, in a very tight trine. And Aquarius has to do with the future and innovative thinking and progressive movements. And what I just heard today on Democracy Now! As I was listening, is that many of the Democrats have taken reclaimed the House of Representatives here in the United States. Many of the um, heads of the different committees are part of the Progressive Caucus, part of the progressive movement, and many women. So, it's about bringing balance once again and bringing it back into Ma'at. And the final piece that I wanted to talk about is the fact that the nodes of the moons have changed signs. Well, actually, there's two pieces. The nodes of the moon have changed signs, and the nodes of the moon have to do with points of destiny. And so the north node of the moon has moved into the sign of Cancer, the south node of the moon into Capricorn. And the north node of the moon in Cancer is the way forward. And that's what I want to talk about. Cancer is ruled by the moon and is the sign of the Great Mother. And so once again, it is the sign of and Cancer is all about the way of the heart. Everything is pointing us that the way forward is through the heart. And and the unconditional love of the mother. And in Egyptian mythology, when a person died, their heart was weighed on the scales of Ma'at. And the heart had to weigh less than her white feather of truth for that person to move on to the afterlife. So I believe what that is saying again here is that our heart knows the way, our heart knows the truth. Even if we don't want to believe it, we know what truth is, and we know what is right and wrong. And in our heart, and if we listen to our hearts, that will show us the way forward. And the last piece I want to talk about is that the planet Jupiter is moving into its own sign of Sagittarius in just 2 days. And Jupiter is the great benefic. And Jupiter in its own sign, a fire sign, is like the light in the darkness. There is a new vision. We are moving towards it. The way is through the heart, and it is really about trusting your heart. All right, that's my message for this month. Aho.